there, today's video is about metals reacting with water and how we can use these reactions to predict their reactivity series. The first fact that we're going to cover today is that it's only the alkali metals, or the metals in group 1, that react with cold water. So let's check it out. Here is a piece of sodium. We're going to put it straight into the cold water here and see what happens. Hopefully you can see that it's moving really fast across the surface of the water and that it seems to be fizzing. It's releasing a lot of gas as it's moving across the surface. You may have also noticed that it turns into a ball shape, and this is because the reaction is so exothermic, it releases so much heat that in fact the surface of the sodium turns into a liquid and it melts. So let's summarise what's happening with an equation there. You've got your sodium plus your water, and that makes sodium hydroxide, which is a strong alkali, and your hydrogen gas. In terms of observations, the things that you need to be able to talk about can be simplified into this acronym, MMFF. So we've got melts, moves, floats, and fizzes. So if you get a question that's worth 3-4 marks, you know that if you use this, that you can get all of those points together. Okay, so potassium next. Let's chuck that into the water and see what happens. Hopefully you can see this reaction is way more vigorous than the one with sodium. And what that tells us is that the potassium is way more reactive than the sodium is. In terms of what's going on here, let's look at an equation. You've got potassium plus water gives you potassium hydroxide and hydrogen. The equation is identical to the one previously, and it's also balanced in exactly the same way. In terms of observations, the same things happen here. It's still MMFF, melts, moves, float, fizzes. But on top of that, I'm hoping that you spotted that you got a lilac flame. So lilac is kind of a light purple colour. So you get a light purple coloured flame from this one on top of all that extra stuff from the sodium. You might be wondering, what about the rest of the metals in the reactivity series? So, in your reactivity series here, the two we've talked about at the top, the potassium and the sodium, both react with cold water to make their hydroxides. In addition, calcium underneath it also reacts very, very slowly to make its oxide too. That's known as lime water. So calcium hydroxide is known as lime water. Underneath that, you've got magnesium and these other metals that are above the gap that I've left here. All of these metals won't react with cold water at all. Doesn't work. The only way you can get them to react with water is to turn the water into steam above 100 degrees. So if you've got steam, then all of these metals will react with steam to make their oxides. The reason we've left the gap is because hydrogen goes in this gap. And just like with the acids, if the metal is below hydrogen, then that means that it will not react with water. That's all for this video, which is all about metals and their reactions with water, and using those reactions to predict the reactivity series and to put metals in that order.